So I haven't been posting a lot this last 2 months because I have been working 40 hours a week in retail during the holiday season. So obviously at the end of my day, I have absolutely no energy to read, let alone make content about reading. So this is just going to be a quick little video about what I read in November and December. I only read 4 things because of the aforementioned exhaustion and burnout. And the last thing actually that job gave to me at the end of last year, 4 days ago, was a massive cut on my finger because I cut myself on a cardboard gift box wrapping somebody's late gift, and then somebody gave me a cold. I think I'm on take 1 or 2 of who knows how long. So this is going to be short for all of those reasons just stated, and let's just get into it because this is the last thing I have to do before I can set aside 2025 and start thinking about 2026. And this is like a different setup for me. I'm trying different places around this house where I can possibly start filming content. I'm only going to be here both in this house and in this country for the next couple months. So bear with me as I try to figure out what looks and sounds decent. I am filming on an iPhone, so I understand there's only so much I can do. But let's just start with the first book I want to talk about, A Curious Beginning by Diana Raybourn. Some of you might be shocked to hear that I'm reading a title such as this because in my last video, you saw me bitch and moan for ages about Paladin's Grace, sort of a different, light genre romance thing, and I hated it because it was vapid and silly. And the thing is, I'll try anything twice, because what if I got it wrong the first time? And I got it wrong with Paladin's Grace. Not a good book. But A Curious Beginning, this could be something I could be down for. Curious Beginning is set in Victorian England, and it's starring this woman called Veronica Speedwell, and she has been orphaned by mysterious circumstances. I think she's like 20 or something, maybe a bit older, and there's some attempt on her life. She has to flee. The only person who can protect her is this random guy, and he has an eye patch and scars, and he's moody, and he does taxidermy for the museum, and they banter and they bicker and they fight. They have to go to a circus in order to escape whatever is happening to them, and together they solve a mystery, not only as to who murdered their mutual friend, but also the greater mystery of Veronica's existence. And both the mystery itself was kind of fun. I mean, it was really juicy actually towards the end, where you're sort of unraveling what the hell is happening, and it's juicy in a kind of tabloidy, gossipy way that I really like, as well as having this fun, high-spirited quality that's kind of similar to maybe a historical episode of Doctor Who, when they go to Victorian or perhaps even Edwardian England, and they parade around in hoop skirts and corsets. I don't know, is a hoop skirt Victorian? I don't think so. In costumery and fuck around and fight aliens. So take the energy of one of those episodes and remove the aliens, but keep the mystery. And that, I think, is a pretty good description of it. I like the banter between the characters. I love characters who don't like each other and then slowly learn to like each other, both in terms of friendship, partnership, allyship, or even in a romantic situation. And they have this perfect kind of banter to them. It sort of almost reminds me of Pride and Prejudice, but specifically the 2005 film adaptation starring Keira Knightley. It has that kind of dramatic, big words while also being a bit cheeky, that kind of style. Insert clip here.
You mean to frighten me, Mr. Darcy, by coming in all your state to hear me? But I won't be alarmed, even if your sister does play so well.
I'm well enough acquainted with you, Miss Elizabeth, to know that I cannot alarm you, even should I wish it.
So in that sense, it had this really pulpy quality without being vapid. And I thought it was written pretty well. I enjoyed the characters. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but I think it's kind of what I'm looking for in terms of reading something light, something fun, something to break up sort of the bleak, dense books that I'm usually reading. And good news for me is there's actually, I think, as of next year, the 10th book is about to be published, and I already have the second one from the library. This is a perilous undertaking. And what a fun title. I think there's also like a treacherous curse and a ghastly something and a da-da-da-da. Like it's like adjective noun. And I do love a silly naming convention in a series, I have to be honest. So hopefully this sustains me and gives me just a little bit of fun frolicking, because I deserve to frolic. I could use a frolic from every now and then. So what am I usually reading? I'm usually reading like unflinching raw memoirs or deeply tragic dramas or like sort of intense, bleak stories about like hard-won truths and like overcoming something. And sometimes you don't overcome it at all. And that's what the next book is kind of about. This is Lie With Me with Philippe Besson. He is a French writer. This was translated from the French by Molly Ringwald, of all people. Interesting. Good for her. It's beautifully translated, beautifully written. And it's a bit memoir in the sense that the writer is basing a lot of this story on the village he grew up in and his experiences as a gay man and his upbringing and his, the challenges that he faced. And it is about the relationship between this teenage boy and another teenage boy, their relationship together, both sexual and friendship, and how they, became attached over a period of a year and then detached and then never spoke. And this was really, really good. It's a short little book. You could read it in an afternoon, and it was so poignant. I loved the way it was written in it was confessional yet conversational at the same time. It had this kind of speaking quality to it, like the storytelling of somebody who just begins talking and you're on the edge of your seat, even if it's not like this heart-pounding action. You just want to know what's going to happen to this boy and his friend. And I really couldn't stop reading it. I thought it was really tender, and I can't, because it's so short of a book, I can't really say that much about it without giving it all away, really. But I will say that I came away with it feeling almost like a cautionary tale, that when people feel the need to be closeted because of their surroundings, who they grew up around or where they grew up, it is a real misfortune, and you can't live your life fully when you can't be yourself fully, if that makes sense. It felt like a cautionary tale to me, even though at the same time it's also the lives of countless and countless individuals who are not able to love the ones they love. And because it had that very real life lesson to it, I think that is what makes it so emotionally overwhelming. But I would really recommend it. I hopefully did at least a halfway decent job describing it, or at least pitching it to you. It is short and it is easily digestible. The sun is now setting behind the house. I'm sorry if the lighting's changing, but the next book I want to talk about is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. A few months, I guess a year ago now, maybe, the New York Times released a list of the top 100 books released in the 21st century so far, and this was number 9 on the list, and I even made a little spreadsheet because I want to try and read them. I want to try and read all of them, but we're going to see how long that takes, especially as more good books keep being written. Anyway, so this book is, first of all, I didn't know anything about it. I thought it was just going to be a regular campus novel about these kids in this elite English boarding school. But then as it was going on, I started to feel really unsettled. Like the atmosphere was really weird and there was something happening beneath the surface. So then I go on Storygraph, which is the app I use to like track my reading, and saw that it was marked as both like literary and sci-fi. And I felt that the author was doing a great job of like slowly closing in on you with the hard truths of this imagined reality and this near future dystopian, which I don't want to say what is the true reality of both these kids' educations and their existences, because that slow revelation of the truth was most of the enjoyment for me, and I think I would be castrating that atmosphere if I gave even a slight detail about their circumstances to you. So I'm going to try and talk about the book without talking about specifics. The first thing that I really liked about it, though, was that campus part of it, which is the first half of the book, and how he's speaking from the mind of a young girl, and the girl grows up throughout the book, but in the beginning she's a young girl, and he was able to really understand the psyche of a young girl in a way that I found really moving. And because oftentimes you read women written by men or girls written by men, and you're like, have you ever met a girl ever? But he really understood her and like the social hierarchy of friendships, especially female friendships, and the way when you're in like an isolated environment, or even just any school environment, when you're with your friends and you're young and you're making up your own rules, because the world is kind of, this little bubble that like even the tiniest little detail or action can have humongous consequences for your life and your general social circle. For example, like where you got your pencil case, or how you quit a chess game, or who's wearing their favorite shirt and will they get it dirty today. These things that seem so mundane, in the book felt so colossal. And I think that is such a great feat of writing, to make something like a pencil case feel like the end-all be-all of a situation. Like, oh my god, where did she get that pencil case? Because the answer could be world stop. And so in that sense, I really felt that he did such a great job creating that bubble of this elite boarding school and the psyche of young people, and how somebody can be, cruel, especially children. They can be cruel, but because it's a reflection of their vulnerability. It's an excellent character study of several characters, actually. And then as the book progresses and you are starting to deal with the harsh realities of the sci-fi element that I refuse to disclose, that becomes really interesting as well. And the things he's trying to say being deliberately vague, the relationships he's trying to build from when they're young kids in school throughout their 20s, and the revelations both in the relationships and in the plot really feel earned, and it felt like he was really meticulously building something, whereas some writers are just like, this happened and that happened and that happened and then they kissed. This writer is like weaving together something so intricate that like when it does fall into place at the end, it has such a greater meaning. And I hope I'm making any sense, because I can't really talk about specifics, but this writer did win the Nobel Prize for Literature, which is the most prestigious award for this art form in this career, and you can tell. And I've already acquired another one of his books that I just absolutely have to read. And this didn't quite make my top 10 of the year, since we're so far at the end of the year, and even on the other side of the line now, I could determine what my top 10 is. It slightly misses it, but really it might be 11 or 12. It's such a really, really good book, and I highly recommend it. And don't watch the movie. I watched the movie, don't watch it. And if you liked the movie, the book is gonna blow your mind. It's so much better. And if you hated the movie, girl, I get you. Read the book, because the book does everything that the movie chose to not do for some reason. Anyway, so that's that book. I am getting sick. I'm like running out of breath. Okay, finally, we're at the end. I want to talk about the last book I read of this year, and that is Luster by, I think her name is Raven Leilani. I don't have the book in the room with me. This book was really weird and interesting. It was popular about 5 years ago. Everybody was talking about it online, and I kind of have horse blinders on. I'm trying to get better about taking them off, but when everybody's reading something or watching something, there's something about my personality that says, I'm not watching that. I'm not reading that. And that's so silly. And that's one of my resolutions for this year, is to like engage in popular media, dummy. And so I was walking through the halls of the library, and this was just sitting on the shelf out, and I'm like, oh, I remember when people were reading that. And I picked it up, read the first line, and went, okay, I'm checking it out. And because there are some books that have this pixie dust on them, that I read the first like 1 or 2 lines and I'm like, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. This is for me. And I had that about Luster instantly. And when I started reading it, I was drinking this book. I mean, I was chugging it. Is that gross? I just was reading it so quickly. It's got this like addictive kind of quality, narcotic quality about it. And it's about this young girl in her 20s. She sucks. I think that's the quickest way I can put it. She sucks. Her life's falling apart. It's mostly her fault. She has a lot of shit going on. Some of it she did to herself. A lot of it she didn't. And then she gets sort of accidentally, on purpose, embroiled into this open marriage with an older man. And there's a lot about like racial politics in there. She's black, he's white. Age dynamic, gender dynamics, class dynamics, because she's poor and he's not. And she has this writing quality, this inner monologue that really spoke to me. The things that I'm gonna go get the book because I have to read certain lines. Well, you're just a little liar, aren't you? He says. And I want to say yes. Yes, I am. You don't ever lie to spare feelings? Never. Interesting, I say. Of course, it is not interesting that he has been allowed to live candidly. It is not interesting that he cannot conceive of anything else. He has equated his range of motion with mine. He hasn't considered the lies you tell to survive, the kindness of pretend, which I illustrate now as I eat this bacterial hot dog. This is the first time I sort of understand him. He thinks we're alike. He has no idea how hard I'm trying. You can be yourself with me, you know, he says, and it's all I can do not to laugh right in his face. Thanks, I say, but I know he doesn't mean it. He wants me to be myself, like a leopard might be herself in a city zoo, inert, waiting to be fed, not out in the wild, with tendon in her teeth. So this book is a little similar to something like Boy Parts, where there's this kind of catharsis involved in witnessing sort of a totally crazed woman kind of destroy her life and everything in it, while also saying deeply truthful things about womanhood and youth and identity. It's really impressive what she was able to like conjure with this, and that I wish it wasn't a library book so I can highlight all of those truths of what it's like to be kind of trapped in this body, and you have all these things that you want and no way to get them, and then on top of it you're marginalized in certain ways, or you have people that think they get you but they don't get you at all. And it is kind of a true testament to young womanhood, and that's where the catharsis comes in, is that you seek to destroy, and even more so to self-destruct and take everything down with you sometimes. So to read a book like this, where she really is just like, fuck it, let's just do whatever, that is really thrilling. And it's, you know, it'll be an honorary mention of my favorite books of the year. The plot itself is a little silly because at one point she's living with her boyfriend and his wife and their kid, and all of that feels a bit like, I'm a writer so I get it when you're kind of writing something and then you kind of go down a path and it's just not working. It just feels a little too out of touch, a little too conjured, and not really in touch with reality at all. And so a lot of that just felt like, I'm aware that someone's writing this and that this would never happen, or that I'm aware that someone's writing this in order to illustrate certain points, not because I think this echoes some kind of truth. Like, you know, when you live with your boyfriend and his wife, it's just, for me, just slightly out of my periphery in terms of possibility. And so therefore, because I couldn't really commit to the story 100%, it lost me a little bit, but only in terms of like the story and the plot. I was there the whole time for the writing and all of those truths being uttered on every single page. So I do recommend Luster if any of that sounds interesting to you, especially if you're a young woman and all you want to do is like set fires. And so that is the last book I read of the year. I hope you enjoyed this silly little video. The sun is officially setting and I have to go. I've talked way too much for a sore throat and I'd like to lay down. So I'm putting this year to rest. I hope you enjoyed it. Stick around for next year. I'm planning to post a bit more because my schedule is lightened up because it's not the holidays anymore. And so I'm gonna post my favorite books of last year. I'm going to post my reading goals for next year, and I've got a few fun things in mind. So stick around, subscribe if you want to, like if you want to, comment, etc. I never know how to end these. I've been doing this for a year. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy. Okay, bye. Okay, bye.